you guys ready?
Eli, I mean, I know, we've seen plenty of, we see it every Tuesday, the amount of time you guys spend on turnovers. So when it happens like that, how do you explain it, or what do you try to do to fix it? Or
you focus on it. Yeah, there's no explanation. Nobody wanted to fumble, but they did, and so we got to go back to work on it. And we spend a lot of time on that, but we're going to continue to emphasize it, and we'll focus on it. And around here, when you focus on something, you usually get better results, and so that's what we're gonna aim for.
The second half, one of the things I was looking for was kind of just what the team was made of.
Yeah.
Would they battle? Would they compete? Would they, maybe the score was out of reach at some point, but they, how did the way they compete? How did you feel about it?
How'd you feel?
I felt they battled.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I thought those guys competed hard. We still didn't make exactly the plays we needed to, but I was proud of those guys. I wasn't proud of the execution, and I wasn't proud of the overall performance, but the competitive spirit. There's nothing more that you would like to do than crawl into a shell and act like it didn't happen, but you can't do it. You can't do it, and those guys continue to fight, and that competitive spirit shine through. So, that's something to build on.
How tough is it? I mean, it was really tough for you guys to build any type of real momentum in that game, and
yeah,
especially on the road. I mean, it probably hurts the most, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, you just couldn't get anything going. I thought there was one spot in the game where we actually had shifted the momentum to our favor, and then again, a negative play happened, and so got to do a better job of stopping that, and yeah.
Are you referring to Shane's play, or is it another offensive play?
Well, that was a good one. No, but we scored a touchdown drive, and it was 24-10, and then they punted us the football. Defense got us the ball about midfield. We threw a ball to Thomas, and he's literally 2 inches out of bounds, and then the next play we had a fumble, and that was really that really was kind of the spiral.
The two plays where Brett lost the fumbles, were those on? Could he have done something different, or did
Yep.
the O-line miss something?
Yep. No, he should have done something different.
Throw those away? Or?
Yep.
I think you'd said a couple weeks ago that you wouldn't know exactly what he could do until you saw him handle adversity, because he hadn't really had any. What did you learn about him through that night?
He's a competitor. Yep, he's a competitor. We played pretty poorly in that first half, but in the second half, fought, made some really good decisions, and kept playing, and so that was good to see.
You guys are near the bottom in sacks allowed and negative plays. I mean, are you getting from the O-line what you need to at this point?
Yeah. Yep. This has been addressed before. Sacks are not just on the offensive line. 100% not just on the offensive line. And several of those sacks, 3 of them for sure, quarterback could have easily made whatever adjustments he needed to make us right. The negative plays deal, I'm not sure about that. But there's a lot of good things about our offense, and we're not going to lose confidence in who we are or our identity. I'm not going to forget that, for 4 straight weeks we had 0 turnovers and averaged 40-something points. So that's who we are. We had a slip-up last week, and we're going to correct that, and we're going to get on to Wyoming. But we're not going to focus on the negative. We're going to focus on the positive. We're not going to lose our confidence. We're going to be very resolved. We're going to get things fixed, and we're still ranked pretty high in a lot of offensive categories, and so we're going to focus on those. We're going to correct the things that need to be corrected. But when you're going for it a lot, when you're taking shots, you give up some negative plays, but you also get some big ones too.
Kind of on that note, I guess, when you guys get behind like that, I know that you guys want to be balanced on
Yeah,
offense.
doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, you always want to fight. You never want to stop fighting. Could have said, hey, let's just run the football. No, we wanted to fight. We wanted to score points. Our job's to score, and not turn the ball over. But we turned it over. So, yeah, we could duck our head in the sand and hand it off and get on that bus and go home, and we could fight it out. By God, we're going to fight. That's what we're going to do. And that's the attitude of everybody on this staff. That's the attitude of everybody in that locker room. It wasn't good, but you ain't going to quit. You're going to fight it out. And you know what? I hope these guys, I hope they take it with them a lot further than football. I hope they take it with them for the rest of their life. It ain't always pretty, you know. Things aren't always easy. Doesn't always go like you planned. But you got to fight it out, and you can't give up on one another. We sure didn't do that.
You talk about how you guys are going to continue to stay confident in what you've been able to do successfully this year, but you know, after a game where you do make mistakes like that, how important is, you know, the first quarter of this Wyoming game or whatnot, just to get back on track? Or
No, it's just important for us to have a great day of practice tomorrow. That's what's important. There's going to be new challenges against Wyoming, and we're not going to sit there and start doubting ourselves or saying, here we go again. We're going to fight it out. And, I mean, unfortunately, we've been in this situation before, and these guys know how to respond. But you don't go into it with nervousness or like, oh gosh, I hope it doesn't happen again. No, you learn from it, you move on. I don't know that the first quarter is going to be any more important than it is any other game. It's going to be important for us to play well, take care of the football. Wyoming's a lot better than their record. They played a lot of young guys, and those guys have matured a lot. And you can tell now that they're really starting to hit their groove on defense. So I think that's part of it.
I know sometimes the stats don't tell, the stat doesn't tell the story, or the stat kind of doesn't fit with them. And obviously, stats now after you lost a game, we're bringing up stats, and maybe like you said, we weren't saying anything the previous 4 games about it. But with the third down conversions, I think you guys ranked 96 in the country, 35%. Is that a big deal to you? Or? Yeah,
it's a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal. You know, our goal is to be right around 45%, and obviously it's not good enough. Now there are some factors into those percentages. Some of those conversions are from the second half of games where maybe our first team wasn't in there. So, you know, I'm not sure on, you know, we did a third down study 2 weeks ago to see where we were at. We felt like it was in a situation where when you factor out those things, then it was okay. Last week we were at 30-something%, which is not where we want to be. And the starters got all those reps, so that's obviously not good enough. But, you know, stats are stats, you know, and so they are what they are. But you look at the overall statistics of where you're at, and, you know, we're not going to question who we are or what we're doing. We're going to try to find answers. Obviously, you know, the negative plays have got to get corrected, and sacks have got to be corrected. But, and, you know, we're going to continue to focus on third downs. But, no, I think if you go back and look and take away the snaps that maybe Brett's not in there at quarterback, I don't think the statistics would be that negative.
What kind of problems are you going to see defensively from Wyoming? What do they do, and how do they do it?
They're very technically sound. They don't try to do a whole lot. They just do what they do very well. That's the trademark of the coach at Wyoming, both offense and defensively. They want to get very good at what they do. Like I said, they played a lot of young guys in the secondary who you can tell have really matured and got that game experience and are relying on each other now. So it's going to be a battle. You know, it's not going to be you know, something we take lightly or take for granted. It's going to be a different style than what we saw against Utah State. I don't think it's not nearly as much about creating disguise and coverages and all kinds of blitzes and all that. It's about them doing their techniques and doing them very well.
The last couple of weeks, the offensive linemen have said they're not really pleased with the way the run game has gone so far, and I feel like they can do more than they've done and contribute more than they've done. What has maybe been the biggest thing that's held you guys back running the ball this year?
Well, in the last game was obviously just getting behind in the score and trying to fight your way out. And you know, the drives we did score on, we ran the ball pretty effectively. So, you know, probably me giving them a better chance of settling into the run game, you know. But, you know, a lot of the rushing statistics too, sacks in the NFL, sacks come out of passing. In college, they come out of rushing. So.
Why is it?
You'd have to ask the SID.
Kind of go back to that, just even the first drive of the game where Shane has that nice punt, and I know you guys have talked so much about creating your own momentum on the road, and it seemed like that was a point in time where that really could have happened. And then I think you had, swing pass for a negative 6-yard loss.
Yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah.
How big was that moment? Maybe bigger than it could have seemed, just because you know what I mean, there was an opportunity to grab quite a bit of momentum.
Yeah, we could have scored. Yeah, it could have been 7-0, but we did score on that possession. You know, we did take the lead. We were up 3-0. Obviously, you don't ever want to lose -6 swing pass when you could have got maybe 10 or 12 if you keep your feet. But it happened. You know, the deal is what happened happened. And as much as I'd like to go back in time and change it or fix, I can't. There's nothing I can do about it other than learn and move on and get to Wyoming. And we got one job this week. That's to beat Wyoming. That's our goal, you know. And so we're trying to be 1-0 this week. And you know, going back and wishing this or thinking about that, it doesn't do anything for you.
You're obviously being very positive about this. Coach Harsin was pretty positive a few minutes ago. Why is it, I guess, or how is that the reason for that you guys are trying to just take the positive approach here?
I mean, I don't necessarily know how positive I'm being. I think I'm being realistic about what you want to do. I mean, what good is it to kick and scream and scratch and claw and yell at? There's nothing you can do about it. You cannot go back in time and fix things. All you can do is move forward, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to move forward, and I'm disappointed as anybody. I'm disappointed for all those guys in the locker room who wanted to win. I'm disappointed for our staff. I'm disappointed for our fans, but there's nothing I can do about that disappointment other than move on to this week's opponent. And so we're on to Wyoming, and that's our focus. You can't let a team beat you twice, and if you sit there and dwell on it, that's what happens.
At practice yesterday or the meetings, or did you get a sense that guys had moved past it, or were they as positive as you guys are? Or?
That's our job to make sure they are.
What veteran guy on Wyoming's defense, the defensive end, Eddie Yarborough?
Yeah, very good player.
Yeah, what jumps out to you about his game?
Plays really hard, does a good job setting the edge, rushes the passer, has a good spin move, very active, probably the heart and soul of their defense. A very solid player. Gonna be somebody that we've got to make sure we do a good job. Otherwise, we're gonna give up some sacks.
Don't hear that one very often. What makes for a good spin move?
It's just the quickness of it. Yeah, it gains ground on his turn. You know, sometimes you spin like a top, you don't gain ground. He's got one he can set up because he's got a speed rush off the edge. And then once you overset, he's able to stick his foot in the ground and come back inside. And so, it's a good one.
You got, obviously, Kelsey and Devin had to carry the load a little bit more last week. How did they do out there?
I mean, they did fine. They did okay. I should say they did okay.
Kind of on that note, I know you didn't have him last game, can't do anything about that, whatever. But I mean, Jeremy had really been playing a high percentage of those meaningful snaps for you guys over the last few weeks. Hart said you guys get him back this week. I mean, does he make the offense a little bit different? I mean, I'm not saying he's the difference between winning and losing last week necessarily, but is he a different presence out there for the offense?
He's a good player.
Two more guys.
He's a really good player that we really missed. But there's no excuses. You know, there's no excuses for the performance that we had. So we missed him, and we're sure glad that he's gonna be back. But he's a good player.
Anything else, Dolph? No? Eli, thanks.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.